I'm normally, excuse me, one of those people that once once I start talking, um, unless I have something very specific that I want to talk about, once I get into a conversation, the conversation really at that point can go any which way, which is why like I only have like three coworkers that I work with that we just have like the best abstract conversations because they can literally start somewhere and within a matter of minutes will be somewhere completely different. But I was mentioning earlier, and I wanted to make that message, short and sweet, not as long as how long my messages usually are. And I mentioned earlier that I liked scary movies, right? That's my favorite genre. And something popped into my mind as I was saying that, but I didn't really want to go off on a tangent. I mean, I ended up going off on another tangent and had to, put myself back on topic. But even mentioning that, there was something that came to mind that I wanted to say, right? So, especially in the like thriller horror genre, was more of a thriller kind of genre, sometimes even goes over into sci-fi, when they have those like apocalyptic, those end of the world, those zombie apocalypse, that technology cyber attacks, a lot of those types of movies, first of all, they're strategic. They make them and they implement them into our minds and our subconscious for a reason. But a lot of times those movies do promote a certain level of fear and panic, right? So when I started my journey, like I said, in like previous videos, the first thing that I had to do was to start working on clearing my chakras. And that's even something that I'm still doing. I have not made it all the way, up to the crown chakra. That's something that I'm still, working on. But when I did start my journey, the chakra that took the longest to heal and to clear out was actually my root chakra, which, if you know about the chakras, the root chakra is tied to stability, and it's tied to stability, and it's also tied to fear, right? To being grounded. And one of the things that works against it, I should say, is actually fear. So, being that scary movies is my favorite genre, I really didn't realize like how, or not that I didn't realize, because I did realize that watching a lot of scary movies was giving me this underlying kind of sense of paranoia, right? The type where if a car is following me, or let's say if I have like a rule that if the car behind me, if I make more than 3 turns, and sometimes I get so paranoid, I'll even do 2. And if the car behind me is like turning with me for after the 3rd turn, then I will pull into like the nearest station or do the nearest U-turn or something that I can do, or I'll do the nearest course correction, and I will take like a different route or a different way to where I'm going, even though, 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, that car is not even following me. But it's more of just a precaution that I kind of do, right? But it's a lot of, fear-based thinking. And when I first started my spiritual journey, being that fear was one of the things that really, and it wasn't even just fear like in terms of paranoia from watching scary movies. It was fear of failure, fear of, trying new things. It was having goals, having things that I wanted to do, that I wanted to go back to do, but not doing them because of fear. And I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to go back to school, but what if I go back and I don't, and I'm not successful? Now I've wasted all this time. It's fear of wasting time and money. Fear is so, it encompasses so much, right? So one of the things that I really had to do was I had to take like a year off from watching scary movies. I had to take a year off, and it was like the most boring. Actually, that's what got me so much into podcasts, to be honest with you. It was one of the most boring years because every time I would see a scary movie would come out, I'd be like, oh man, I really want to see that, but I can't see it. I have to wait, right? So that's really what got me deep into like watching all of these different podcasts and all these different things on YouTube. So I guess, it had its benefit. Okay, I don't know if that is the train. That horn sounds off. But anyways, yeah, I had to take a year off of watching scary movies, right? But okay, I had to pause for a quick second to go over to just to go over to the, what is it, like the patio. I didn't go outside, but just to listen, because it's the train, but the horn had it was like a low kind of tone to it, which it never sounds like that. And you always know the train, it's not high pitched, it's kind of like a medium pitch, kind of like tone, but for some reason the tone was really low, and I didn't too much care for that, especially with the message that came to mind in the middle of the night. But anyways, so I had to really kind of take time away from any type of horror and thriller, and really like low vibrational, because I will say of all the genres, horror and thriller probably, maybe not even probably, the horror and thriller are the lowest vibrational genre of movies, but I can't help that it's my favorite. Either that or I don't know what you call it, but I guess you call it sci-fi, but like the psychological kind of thrillers too. But really those are, like I said, the lowest vibrational genre, but they're just the ones that I enjoy the most. But the message really that I want to give is that, if you know better, you do better, right? If you knew better, you do better, right? So I'm laying in bed, and all of a sudden I'm hearing this ringing in my right ear, which I don't, between my right and my left ear, I hear ringing in my left ear a lot more. So, and thankfully, when I do hear ringing, it's always high pitched ringing, which is, what did I say? Like the higher the pitch, the higher the vibration. So I posted or I shared a video about hearing ear ringings on my community board, and she actually plays examples of the different pitches, and the high pitch example that she played is almost identical to how it sounds when I hear it in either ear. But I have been fortunate enough to where I do hear ear ringing, whether it's in my left or my right ear. It's always high pitched. Now, well, not always. I have had instances where I've heard like low buzzing, low pitch buzzing in my ear, which I know now, on my spiritual journey, that means that, to be careful, there's low vibrational energies approaching, or you're being attacked, you're being psychically attacked or spiritually attacked, depending upon which ear you hear it from. And really the only thing that I can hear is like, just the only thing I can think, I should say, is if I had known when I was younger what I know now, then I would have known that any time, I ever did hear a low buzzing in my ear, that I needed to get out of whatever environment that I was in. So that's really, to make a long story short, that's really the only thing that I wanted to say here. Like, when you know better, you do better. So if ever you're somewhere, and even as I'm recording this, I hear that low pitched train horn, which I didn't really care for it, but if y'all could hear, I don't know how clear it was coming through with me being in the back room, but if y'all could hear it, that would be kind of an example of a low pitched that you might hear. And you know what? Now that I think of it, that may even be that for someone that may be a sign. Like normally, like I said, when you hear the train horns, it's not a high pitch, but it's kind of like a medium loud. That train horn that was honking in the background, it was really slow and low. And the train, it's not normal for it to sound like that. So I'm getting, for someone, it may even be that you're somewhere and you hear the train coming, but the horn just doesn't sound normal. It doesn't sound like it's supposed to. Or you may be somewhere and the horn or the siren or whatever it is just doesn't sound like it's supposed to. that's going to be your cue that you need to like exit stage left. And for some reason, I'm getting, for someone, you may be at work and you may hear something, or you might get that low buzzing. If you're at work, you can't necessarily, I don't know, maybe you can fake a family emergency and leave, but you can't always do that. But it may just be, especially if it's in your left ear, or it could be your right, because you never know. You know what I mean? You never know, unless you're just very, very open in things. For a lot of people, depending upon your work setting, you may not be as open about your spiritual beliefs in your work setting. But if you are, you never really know. It could be that you hear it in your left or your right ear. It could be someone at your job that's trying to spiritually or psychically attack you. But I'm getting that, like, if you're at work and you hear it, whoever is the closest, in proximity to you, is a person that you need to watch out for. It's a person that you need to watch out for. But like I said, not even the older I get, but yeah, the older I get, the wiser I get, the more knowledge I obtain. When I know better, I do better. So I now know that anytime in the future, if I'm anywhere and I start hearing low buzzing, or if I'm somewhere in a horn or a train or a sound, I mean, for right now, the only person next to me is my cat. So I don't know, maybe I need to kick Kitty out the room. Maybe he's being low vibrational. He does keep knocking my bottle of water on the floor, and I don't appreciate that because I'm thirsty. So he is engaging in some low vibrational behavior. But other than that, I'm just kidding. It's just a sign that I now know moving forward that if ever I hear some of those low tones, that it's time for me to exit stage left immediately. But this was me giving a message, but trying to do it in the lightest way possible. But definitely, if you know better, do better. Y'all, thank you for listening. Bye.